Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Once More with Feelings. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Beth. We are an emotional journey podcast where we wade into the deep waters of cinematic oceans, surrounded by the sharks of our heartfelt nostalgia. See, I had that one keyed up and ready for this movie.
Oh, I see that.
Which is Splash.
It's Splash.
It's a 1984 American romantic fantasy comedy, that is a lot, film directed by Ron Howard.
Yes, Mr. Ron Howard.
The story follows Alan Bauer, a young man who falls in love with a mysterious woman named Madison, who is secretly a mermaid. After a chance encounter in Cape Cod, Madison tracks Alan down to New York City, where they develop a romantic relationship. However, their love is tested as Madison's secret is threatened to be exposed.
Dun, dun, dun.
As per Wikipedia. that is how it goes.
And what could Madison's secret be?
She has a cloaca. It's very specific.
I mean, is she a chicken?
No, she fish.
She fish.
But
she part fish.
Fish cloaca.
She bottom fish.
No, she feeds on bottom fish.
Oh, okay. Apparently. Yeah, this is messed up notes.
So, we usually ask ourselves, hey, how did you feel when you first saw this movie? And I'm going to ask you that, apparently, because you're going to answer.
I'm going to answer it. Make noises while I'm doing it. I was, let's see, 1980. I was 10. I did not see this in the movie theater because I was 10 and there was slight titties. No, I don't know why. I just don't remember seeing this until... I don't remember when I saw it first, but probably HBO because, you know, HBO was what we did. We watched all of our movies on HBO. It was like always wasn't like HBO like part of the basic cable package?
No, you had to pay extra.
You had to pay extra for HBO?
Oh yeah, we were very excited when we got it, and I think the first movie we watched on it was Jaws, and we were very we had popcorn, we had daiquiris. I mean, my mom loved alcohol, so the kids also had daiquiris, and yes, they had alcohol in them.
Oh my Lord.
We were fully prepped for a movie night. It was a special occasion.
Again, I just feel like it was always available in my house. Now, we were dirt poor, but for some reason my mom always had HBO. So maybe that was just her, you know, thing that she did for herself. I lived in a rural area
in the 80s, so it is entirely possible that it came as a part of a cable package for you.
Maybe.
It did not for us.
It might have. Yeah, it's just weird that we always had HBO. But
yeah,
I remember thinking, oh my God, mermaids. Like, I was excited to see this movie. And my feelings for it were typical, I think, of most of my very young and immature feelings for most of our 80s movies is, oh, they're so sweet and the happily ever after. And I wanted to be like her and I wanted to dress like her. And I actually was going to name one of my children Madison. I really was. But the reason why I did not name one of my children Madison was I was going to use a family name, which is Monroe, as a middle name, and then somebody pointed out to me that Madison Monroe is the order of the presidents, and I said I can't do that. So there went that name altogether. I didn't pair it with any other middle name.
I can see why.
So needless to say, I don't have any children named Madison, but I did want to name a child Madison. And before this movie, there weren't any children named Madison, and that it was just such an unknown name as a first name.
Especially girls.
Well, yeah, for a first name, it's just not a first name.
Yeah.
And now you hear it constantly.
I don't think I hear it constantly now. I think
it's slowed down.
In the late 80s and early 90s, it certainly picked up.
Yeah, it's definitely slowed down. I just know that in my research, Daryl Hannah was saying that she's met hundreds and hundreds of girls named Madison.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's going to happen. Especially because all of those children are now adults.
Oh, yeah.
Telling her thanks a lot for my name. Really appreciate that.
But yeah, it made me feel happy. It was always like a go-to. And like if it was on, I had to watch it. It was a go-to happy movie. I loved a lot of it. And I don't know, again, made me happy.
For me, I saw it on HBO. Mm-hmm. That's where I saw it first. I did not see it in the theater. I loved the love story. The love story was everything to me. As a kid, it was all about romance. Mm-hmm. I dreamed about the romances. And, of course, I saw it in a different way than a lot of people.
Yeah.
But for me, it was about that kind of odd love story in which it doesn't turn out how you think it does. And we'll go through that kind of as we go through this. I was really enamored with it. So every time it did come on, yes, I was excited to see it, but it was always because it wasn't the atypical love story, or at least it didn't feel like it to a child.
Oh, yeah.
And every time it came on HBO, I got to see it again. Because, they replayed stuff over and over on HBO. And so I saw it a lot. So yeah, I wanted to relive that over and over again because it was this odd love. I love quirky love stories.
Mm-hmm, me too.
So that was a favorite of mine. It was actually one of the first quirky love stories I encountered. You had the other ones that never quite turned out, like 16 Candles. The quirky love story was all in the head of Ducky. Mm-hmm. So you didn't get the love story there. You had this really... We'll go over that later when we go over 16 Candles. Not my favorite.
Not my favorite either.
Ducky loved Ducky.
I love Ducky.
Did not love the complete lack of chemistry between the two leads. We'll talk about it
I used to always say that, I had a friend who used to tell me all the time that in my head I had the humor of a 14-year-old boy named Ducky. So I always pictured Ducky, but as a 14-year-old boy and his humor.
Yeah, that was pretty much my archetype as well. Mm-hmm. So we go through the romance, the story of Alan Bauer, who it immediately jumps to the past, 20 years to the past. So you don't actually know what your timeline is yet.
No.
Until you jump forward again. But they're in Cape Cod.
Yes.
And a little child, who we assume is Alan, is on this...
Like a ferry boat.
A ferry of some kind, but it's more like a party thing. Yeah. And he's looking into the water, and I guess he sees her or he imagines her as he jumps in the water.
And that always throws me off because it literally just shows him just staring off into the water, and then he just dives. So I never knew what he's diving at. Where is he going?
I think it's about him looking into the water and being drawn to it.
Maybe.
Probably because of her, but it's that whole there's a force that brings love together kind of situation.
Yeah, but...
And this is the spark of that. So he jumps into the water and she saves him essentially because while she is with him, he's okay in the water.
Yes.
Gives the people that jump into the water to save him time to get him.
Yes.
So we have a very young mermaid girl and a little boy, human, in the water, and they touch hands for the first time, and she cries as he goes away. She's instantly in love.
Yeah.
He's enamored, but doesn't remember any of it because he has life that he goes through, although she has life too, and they kind of circumvent that, don't they?
So there's things that there's things that they cut out, but there's things that they leave in, and the things that they cut out was apparently there should have been a sea hag of some form, an old woman that...
Well, it is following along the mermaid's tale.
It is. So. And there's more to that as well, which I'll get into it in a minute. But the little girl, this bothered me when I was doing my research. And I get it. I get why they did it, but it really bothered me reading it. So the little girl who plays young Madison is Shayla McCorvich. I'm not sure I said that right. I'm sorry, Shayla. So she was not comfortable with the being topless part. And she was 7.
Understandable.
And so when when Ron Howard, she was just playing on the beach and he's like, hey, it's time to film. And then he's like, okay, Shayla, you need to take your shirt off. And she started crying. So the scenes that you see her crying while he's being taken away
are the actual...
That's her crying because she's very uncomfortable with having her shirt off.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah. And so I don't know about like underwater scenes, like because she's shirtless then too, like what all happened there. And I know 7-year-old, and I know especially back then it wasn't even a thought, but now it's a problem. It's a huge problem. Because of the perverts that live in this society, that we can't just let kids just be kids. They become objects.
They become sexualized, yes.
And so we can't just let them just be little kids like we were little kids, or like our grandparents were little kids, or our parents were little kids. So, again, 1984, when this was being done, it was a different mind frame of her not having her shirt off. It shouldn't have been an issue, and it really shouldn't be. And again, for her it being an issue, that's different. It should be her problem, and like her being uncomfortable with it, that's justifiable. And it's just knowing that Ron Howard, somebody who I really have always liked his work and I've never really had a problem with, didn't even hesitate to use this little girl's discomfort and pain.
Maybe he thought it would be kinder to use what they already took that she was crying in, rather than try to retake over and over.
Maybe.
With her acting and crying.
Maybe.
So I don't know.
It's just, it bothered me.
It's easy to imply intention.
True.
When you don't know. And I'm not making excuses for him. Obviously, we feel strongly about these types of things, but we also have to account for, on a movie set, there's a lot of things going on, and they're all very technical, and they're often not an emotional response to something.
Oh, yeah.
And it could have just been her being overwhelmed as well.
We'll get into some more scenes that were either cut by other countries, or scenes that were unintentionally perfect the first time around, or scenes that had weird effects in between takes.
So the thing about this movie, the way it's shot, the way that it happens, the thing that I got from it even as a kid, and I was telling you during the movie, I didn't even notice her boobs. Adult Madison's boobs, while she's in the water. There's this separation. There's no sexuality there because you're watching someone do something. It's like their natural environment. And it comes across very well that this is like how they are naturally. So it isn't something weird at all. When she's trying to get the maps off the wall and things like that.
And her hair's just
You're just seeing the maps. You're not really caring about any of that. I never, even as a kid, not having any kind of limitations to my imagination for sex and everything else.
Yeah.
I didn't imagine that as a sexual thing at all. During any of those scenes, there's that stark separation between water and land, in which in the water it is completely asexual. It just doesn't have any connotations to me. But once they're on land, then it becomes, for me, sexual, but also uncomfortable. Because even back then, I felt bad for her. All these men...
Oh, when she gets on to the Statue of Liberty scene?
Yeah.
I hate that scene. And I hated it as a kid, just not understanding why I hated it. But yeah, take a picture with me. And they're all, they're grabbing her and groping her. And I mean, they might be. I'm assuming they are. They don't show that on the screen. But you can assume if this was a real thing happening and a naked woman who looked like Daryl Hannah appeared at the Statue of Liberty...
It's a very PG version of what would happen if someone like Daryl Hannah or any woman were to pop up on that island naked. And, it was just very uninhibited the way the men just jumped at her.
Oh, yeah. They didn't even think twice.
And there are women in that too. And I'm like, why are they clambering?
Not a single person tried to put a jacket over her. Nobody tried to cover her up except for the police when they dragged her in to get a shirt after they dragged her into the building.
Right.
But no, whipping out not phones, obviously they couldn't. Whipping out cameras and take a picture with me. You know,
the analog is whipping out your phone.
I know.
And that is something that I kept replacing the cameras with phones. Mm-hmm. As I'm watching it, I'm replacing it in my mind going, wait, this is not.
Nope.
These are not phones. These are cameras with the stack of light bulbs on them, which deplete. So every time you use a light bulb, every time you take a
flash,
photo, that flash is just gone, and you never get it back, and you use up like all 5 of those bulbs in the stack, and then you have to replace
it with another one.
Like a cartridge.
Yeah.
So it is something that anyone beyond 95 probably has never seen.
Probably.
Unless they're just really into old stuff, old tech.
Probably, yeah.
Or old photography.
That's weird.
But yeah, I mean, there's this real like separation, just like there is that separation of how you communicate and the scenery, the way it's shot is different. Underwater, it has a different texture to it.
Oh, yeah.
And above the water, it is different as well. So I think they did a really good job in making you understand that these are 2 completely separate worlds, that they are very much apart in a very real way. And I thought it was funny in the flashback scene at the start, you see them, the boat's there, they're out in the middle of the bay.
Cape Cod, whatever.
And yet, whenever it cut to the kids underwater, the land is right below them.
Yeah.
They're in the shallowest
They're in the shallowest.
Because they could stand up. I'm betting it's so they could just stand up.
Probably.
And not have to, they don't feel like they're going to drown. They can just pop up and pop back down.
Yeah.
Well done, because you wouldn't really notice it unless you're looking for it. But I noticed it as a kid once and could never not see it again.
Yeah.
The land is right there below them.
I think I've noticed it when I was a kid, and I remember watching it, but just like I had a thought about it as a kid, but just now I just kind of like didn't even think about it because I'm so used to seeing it.
Yeah, it's a hyperfixation. Once I know a thing, it's really hard not to see it anymore.
Do you have the song Wooly Bully still stuck in your head from the beginning of the movie?
That song is so iconic to the time that they flash back to.
Yeah. So that kind of gives you a feel of what time it is.
But it's also very iconic to my childhood because my mom had given me these records for, when she bought a record player, these little suitcase record players for us. And I had a Wonder Woman record player. Mm-hmm. That should have told somebody right there that that's a girl. Because that was my favorite thing, was this Wonder Woman, record player. But, I mean, it was a Marvel one. It had all, or not Marvel, but it was a comic book one. It had DC and Marvel on it.
Okay.
But it had Wonder Woman on the face of it.
Okay.
But the records that she gave me out of that was Wooly Bully was in there. Mm-hmm. So I listened to it a lot as a kid because it's a kitschy, fun. You don't know what it's singing about.
They don't know what they're singing about either.
Right, it's just Wooly Bully. So you're just having fun with that. And when it was on here, it's like, now it's stuck in your head forever as part of Splash.
Yeah. And I honestly, again, I don't remember the last time I've seen this movie. And I think I say that a lot, but I really don't watch a lot of movies until we started doing this podcast. I really had stopped watching movies for a really long time, other than like the ones I really wanted to see. This kind of goes into that flavor of my liking fantasy movies. So having a mermaid in it definitely has that in it. And, Tom Hanks. I think my parents would watch, or my mom would watch, Bosom Buddies. And that's kind of where I knew him from. And I am pretty sure he did a few movies between Splash and Bosom Buddies, but that was really like the first movie. So this was done by Touchstone, and I could be wrong. I didn't go down that rabbit hole, but I believe Touchstone was the first movie, Splash was one of the first movies that Touchstone did, because Touchstone is actually Disney. It's they're a quote unquote adult branch. So I believe that this was one of their first movies that they did, was Splash. And which is actually kind of disappointing that Disney Plus in 2019 decided to censor Daryl Hannah's booty. They have fixed it since then. But yeah, when she's running back into the water,
right,
they had censored it and made it look like her hair was covering her butt. And
it just looks weird.
It does look weird, but they fixed it. I think last year or something like that. So it was kind of upsetting that they would, you made a movie with your adult, production company, and then you censored it.
Yeah.
For Disney Plus.
So Alan is now an adult after the flashback, and he is in charge. He owns a business. Him and his brother.
Yes, Bauer's
his brother,
Produce.
Freddie Bauer,
played by John Candy.
Right, is a lech, as you see in the flashback where he's trying to look under women's skirts.
Little perv.
And he's still trying to do that. But the thing I forgot about the film, the thing I thought it was before, was that Freddie was a lech and an asshole. And then looking back on it now, he's still a lech.
But he's a good brother.
He's so much less of an asshole because you're seeing it like, yes, he's rough and tumble, but he loves his brother and he will help his brother do anything. He's just not his brother.
Yeah.
They are polar opposites, but they love each other.
I didn't remember it that I didn't have that impression or memory or thought that he was an asshole of any form. I remember him being a good brother and definitely being a lech. And even as a kid, I was like, this guy's weird. He's looking up girls' dresses. That's weird. You don't do that. That's bad. Because I was 10.
Well, it's true, though. So you were right as 10-year-old.
Yes. I was a smart 10-year-old. And so...
Seems like even a moron should know that.
The Moron Twins. It's like one of my favorite lines.
I know.
Is anybody else on this beach? Nope, just me and the Moron Twins. And I used to go around saying that all the time.
So Freddie Bauer, not to be confused with Eddie Bauer, the outdoorsman. Freddie Bauer is a hound dog. He chases women. He is very much a gambler. He is a ne'er-do-well, but he does love his brother, and he is still kind of looking out for the company's best interests, in which they are not importers. What are they?
They are produce. They're grocers.
Merchants.
They buy and sell.
They're wholesalers.
Wholesalers.
Yeah.
So they buy and sell fruits and vegetables. Mostly fruit. Oh, yeah, no, I saw the vegetables. The onions.
Mostly slimy cherries.
Slimy cherries. And if you ever get a really bad onion that's really small, you know that it's Freddie's fault because he put them back in the mix. Those ladies were hand sorting.
So they run it together, but it was really Alan's baby. And then we find out during the course of this whole thing that he just got dumped. And she, the woman left him. You never see her on camera.
No.
And he's hurt by it, but not really, because he never said I love you to her. And he couldn't say it to her to stop her from leaving.
Yeah.
This is kind of a thing. The magic words of I love you or something that I didn't realize as a kid was like not a magic word.
Yeah. And how people have a hard time saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was like, I don't understand the constructs of how people think and their social interactions. So it took me a while to come to the conclusion that I love you is not some kind of magic word that you're supposed to say. So this kind of reinforced that as a kid. I wasn't that young during this, but I was young enough to where it was still like, is that what it is? That it's just a magic phrase that you're going to say, and then the other person will magically say it back to you. And if they say it back to you, then it's forever. We know that's not true.
Yes.
But in this movie, it is.
Yeah.
Because this is their love at first sight. The meet cute is in the water, drowning. And later on, because he got dumped and he had to go to a wedding, he is drunk. He is upset because he doesn't have the love of his life, and he just watched someone get married to the love of their lives, presumably. he wants to go back to Cape Cod.
Yes.
And he doesn't say why. He just feels comfortable there. But it's because that's where he met the person that he just kind of had an instant connection with.
Yes.
And he just doesn't remember it. Or
Yeah.
he suppressed it in some way.
He just knows it's his happy place.
Right. So he meets up with Eugene Levy, which is Walter. Kornbluth, yes. Looking fresh and young. Mm-hmm. Because the last time we saw him was on
Schitt's
Creek. Obviously much older because humans age.
I love Schitt's Creek.
But he's such a baby in this.
I know.
I mean, they're all babies. Every one of the actors, we have Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah, they're all babies. Mm-hmm. And I'm just looking at them going, you're so cute, you're so little. And it's adorable. Even John Candy's
I love John Candy.
He's in his young phase, you know. So that's kind of nice. But he's still got the John Candy swagger.
Oh,
know?
yeah.
They just said, just be Uncle Buck.
And not to interrupt too much, but Daryl Hannah, I was reading an article about, I read so many articles, guys, but one of them was she was saying how he helped her with her interviews. So, she would sit on his lap and they would do a ventriloquist thing, and he would answer the questions that the reporters were giving her. So she didn't have to answer them.
That's funny. So, Alan's on the beach. He's at Cape Cod. He's still in his tux. Well, his tails.
Yes.
He's got the tails
He's got
off.
tails. How 80s.
And Eugene Levy, he's got, as Walter, he is unloading a lot of equipment, which you never see used. Just equipment, apparently scientific equipment.
I think
you
it's
never
going
actually
onto the
see.
boat.
Right, but you never see it.
No.
And he's got what he calls the moron twins, which is why I said that earlier.
Yeah.
And they are loading everything up. And when he sees Alan on the beach, he's like, who sent you?
Yeah.
So he's very paranoid about, what's happening. He's very rude. He's very callous.
Yeah.
He's very loud. And this changes over time. Mm-hmm. But for now, he's a man who is very secretive, and we don't really know what he's looking for.
So that's the thing. I don't think he's looking for mermaids in the beginning. I think definitely he doesn't want anybody to know what he's looking for, and I think he's trying to maybe discover something, or he wants to discover something. That's what I think is his goal.
But I think maybe at the bottom of Cape Cod isn't going to do it, because it's probably one of the easiest places to get to and to explore if you want to. So,
again, during my research, I discovered that this is based on a book called Splash. I think it's what it's called. I never got that far. I got sidetracked. Not gonna lie. I got sidetracked by and I was going to look for the book, but then I got sidetracked by other parts, because that's how my research goes. But it is based on a book, and it does fill in the blanks in between things. So I don't know, maybe the book explains what he's looking for, if he does know about mermaids. It explains how he was able to find her, and it explains, what, because all of a sudden he shows up in New York and he's, able to track her down-ish. Because somebody had pointed that out, how did he find her? And it was because he looked up records about a naked girl appearing, and that's how he knew she was in New York.
Well, in the movie, he sees it on a tabloid.
Yes. So, but they do explain it a bit more apparently in the book.
Well, yeah, that's going to be true of any book, though, because you get to hear the internal monologue of characters. In movies, you often do not get that at all.
So, yeah, I'm really not sure why he is going into the water to begin with, but I think he's just trying to discover something.
Here's my thing. Here's what I think. He went into the water to search for mermaids. The reason why he knows there's mermaids is because she had been sighted in that area, because she kept coming back to Cape Cod to look for Alan.
Oh, good theory.
That is my theory, and you can let me know if that's correct, if you think it's right. That's fine. You can definitely let me know I'm right. I like hearing that. If you think I'm wrong, that's fine too. You can tell me, but I won't listen to you because I'm right. Or at least I think I am.
So this is the first movie I remember ever seeing Eugene Levy in. So I honestly just didn't like him. I mean, he was the bad guy. So I had a hard time even trying to like him in other movies.
Well, that's the thing. He is the bad guy at the start. Mm-hmm. But then he quickly becomes not the bad guy, just a bumbling good guy.
True. I'm looking at a picture of Eugene Levy, and I'm trying to see Dan Levy in his face beyond the eyebrows.
Beyond the eyebrows.
I can see it. I can see it's the hair that's throwing me off, I think, because he had that Jewish Afro thing going on.
True.
Back in the day. And
I think he held on to that through Armed and Dangerous and into this, I believe.
I do believe. So everything is saying that he is trying to prove that the existence of mermaids. So you might be right. I just didn't think, because again, he was looking at a piece of coral when she swims
I don't think
by.
it's canon. It may not be, but I think that's my fan theory. That's what I'm going to say.
I'm not
I
saying
didn't actually
that
look too deep. I didn't look into a lot of this.
Yeah.
My focus was on the emotional aspects, not really the breakdown of the movie.
Yeah, and for me, part of the emotional, I enjoy finding the little odd tidbit bits.
Well, I do as well, but for me, this was a movie that had always been just emotional to me. Mm-hmm. So it was more important for me to break down and dissect maybe those aspects of the movie rather than breaking down the pieces of the literature.
Yeah.
So with Alan in Cape Cod, he basically does exactly what he did before. He falls into the fucking water and doesn't know how to swim. Now, my thing is you should have learned how to swim. Because if you're going to fall into the water this often...
You might have a problem.
You may have a problem with water.
That and Fat Jack just left him there. Mr. Fat Jack just kind of left him there.
To get the smaller boat. As opposed to the very small boat they were in, which almost was a circle. It was so small.
Oh, my God.
But the boat hits him in the head and gives him a good conk, and so he's quasi-unconscious.
Yes.
And Madison saves him.
Yet again. This poor girl's all she do is save this boy.
But that's how we get her to, she finally found him.
Yes.
So for me, the overarching theme of the movie is about love. But I think at the end of the movie, it's more... And this is the thing that got me at the end. Wait, let me sum up. No,
Too long.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the end yet.
No.
Because I will jump right to the end and say what I feel, because there's some parts to it that really, as a kid and right now, annoy the hell out of me. When Alan is going through this near the start of the movie, that's kind of the theme for him is loneliness. Mm-hmm. So he's lonely, he's looking for someone. He finds this naked girl that saved him from drowning, but she disappears again.
Yes.
And he can't swim, so he can't go out after her. So he goes back home, and he's still down. So it kind of focuses on Alan's loneliness at the start. And it's like he has no connections. He has his brother. That's really about it.
Yeah.
He's a personable person. He's affable. But he can't find love. And that is a common theme in almost every romantic comedy. Mm-hmm. That the guy cannot find love and that he's lonely.
Yes.
But what you get at the very start, and with Madison's kind of approach when she saves him, is that she's lonely. Mm-hmm. And she kept coming back to Cape Cod in my headcanon.
Well, it's also, he couldn't tell his quote unquote girlfriend that he was with right then. I gotta stop saying quote unquote. It's annoying even me. When he couldn't say I love you to his current girlfriend, and possibly we're assuming he's had a bunch of other girls that he has cared about a lot but has not been able to commit to. It kind of gives you that romantic story in your head of, well, he couldn't commit to them because he was already in love with the little girl that he had met. So that little girl was, when he was little, that was his person, you know.
His soulmate.
Yes.
His lobster.
His lobster.
There we go.
And so he...
That's nice. It's thematic. Yeah. I enjoy that.
So he wasn't able to give his heart to anybody else because he already cared about her. So that gives you a different twist on a lot of the stories that we were, you know, seeing as kids growing up, where, you know, you meet your true love as an adult. Well, they met when they were kids, in a freak accident. No.
Well, the thing about Splash that I always appreciated was that it isn't about him.
True.
It doesn't center on Alan because it's actually about, it's not Alan finding his true love. It is about Madison finding her true love. She's the one that was searching.
Yes.
She was doing all this work. She kept coming back to Cape Cod. Then she came to New York. She finds him. Mm-hmm. He is her dream guy.
That's true.
It is not her being the dream woman for him. It is the other way around. Mm-hmm. It just so happens he's very enamored with her, and he does love her, and can't say it, but at first.
Yeah.
But it is about her journey. And even, I would say even at the end, I'm just going to do it, okay? Mm-hmm. Even at the end, he chooses to go into the water for her. Mm-hmm. She doesn't stay on land with him for him.
I literally wrote that on my. I literally was just writing that as something I wanted to discuss. Is that this is one of those stories where the girl doesn't have to change. Yes, does she change? Within a degree. Yes, she gets her legs. But she doesn't change her personality. She's still crazy. Because if you think about it, she's not crazy, but Madison being non-human, coming into a human world, the things that she changes are only so that she doesn't stick out too much.
Right.
She puts clothing on and learns English. That's it.
From television.
From television. Does she dance in the middle of the shopping center in front of the videos while she's doing her Richard Simmons exercises? Yes, she is. Does she climb up on posts while they're walking down the sidewalk? Yes. She walks around the streets barefoot. She is still true to herself, even though she's making these changes about herself, so she's not in trouble. Like because she showed up naked and she got arrested. Not really arrested,
she's not changing. She's
adapting.
She's a tourist.
She's a tourist.
She's coming here and learning the things so that she can see the places she won't get to see again.
Exactly. And then when she goes back home at the end, she is still who she is. She didn't have to change to win the boy over. The boy loved her for who she was.
Right.
That's refreshing. That is great. And again, being the weirdo that I was growing up, this movie always reflected that to me, that I can be the weirdo I want to be and who I am, and the people who matter are going to not care.
I think that it's easy to misplace Alan as the lead character.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does focus on him at the start of the movie. But really, this is Madison's tale.
Oh, yeah.
Don't want to pun that, but it is her story. And Alan is a prominent figure in that story because that's who she's been searching for this whole time.
Yeah.
He hasn't been searching for her.
No. He's
longed for her in this subliminal way.
So, yeah, Madison learned how to speak English in, like, hours.
And she's masking for this society.
I mean, but that's still really hard to do. And she has no accent.
I'm telling you, this whole movie is a trans allegory.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying.
I'm saying in a lot of ways. So, during the scene where they're at the skate park, Is it a skate park?
It's a ice
skating rink.
Skating rink, yeah.
I never really got to deal with those. So, while they're at the skating rink, he says, "What is it? What is your secret? I don't care if you're this or a man or used to be a man or he doesn't care about any of that." And on the front of the truck of one of the army trucks that's chasing them, it says trans.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Now it stands for transportation.
But still.
But still, there's so many things in here that kind of point this secretly, this is a trans allegory movie. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, it kind of is.
I can see that.
The changes she makes are superficial.
They are.
She is still her.
She's still her. She's still who she needs.
But they're there for her to fit into the society that she's in.
To be accepted, yeah.
To be accepted and not to be labeled a quote-unquote freak.
Yeah, I mean, and this only happens over a span of 6 days anyway.
Right. 5 days.
Yeah, 5 days.
And Eugene Levy outs her.
He does out her because he's so obsessed with the idea of discovering a mermaid that he doesn't even think about the consequences, which he does think about later on when she's already been captured. But let me go back to the her learning English and everything. So she goes to Bloomingdale's for the Anne Klein collection. And as I threw out into my clues, and then I've mentioned 1,001 times before, I grew up in that area. And so I did think my mom knew the guy from the Eddie or the Crazy Eddie commercials, because when I was growing up and we lived in New York, we lived in Yonkers, and my mom hung out with a bunch of bikers. And one of them was, funnily enough, called Crazy Eddie. Now, did I ever meet Crazy Eddie? No, but I remember her and her friends talking about him. So in my little kid mind, I thought that my mom was friends with the guy on the TV. So for those of you who are younger, and if you just and you're not from that area and you watch the movie now, you know how sometimes in movies commercials are created for those movies, and that is not one of them. That is a genuine Crazy Eddie commercial because the prices are insane. I mean, that's what you grew up with in that area. So, yeah, but I always thought that was my mom's friend. Mm-hmm. And she stands in front of those TVs and she watches soap operas and Richard Simmons videos. And I think there's a Colgate commercial that happens in little, Emmanuel Lewis is in the Colgate commercial. So that's just another throwback to that time period. And her outfits, those were just such awesome clothes. And I just remember looking at those Anne Klein clothes and going, I want that. I want to dress like that. And I never did. But at the time, I loved it. And whoever picked out the clothing for her, those colors were perfect. That teal blue is so beautiful on her skin tone. And I think in one point she's got a raspberry color. It's just so pretty for her with the blonde hair. It was just perfect.
Well, yeah, everything was made to make her look spectacular.
And not like that was hard to fucking do because it's Daryl Hannah and she's goddamn gorgeous. Did you know that Daryl Hannah was not the first choice for this movie? Now, I did not write down the list of all of the other possibilities because I thought it was stupid this time. Because in the reality of it, she was made to play Madison. She practiced swimming with her legs bound as a child because she always loved Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid and wanted to be a mermaid. And right before she got the part in this movie, she was actually trying to get a live action Little Mermaid going and then got this part offered to her and she was like, well, shit, yeah. But because of her practicing how to swim with her legs bound, she would outswim her safety crew. And they had such a hard time keeping up with her when she was underwater. When she had that tail on, she would just shoot out there. She wanted to be a mermaid. That was just her motivation. So any other actress who would have played this part, and Tom Hanks jokes around and says he was the 11th actor to have been offered the role. And there was a huge list of other actors. I can't imagine anybody else playing these parts. We've looked at movies before and we're like, oh, I could see that person playing it. I can't see anybody else play. Warren Beatty playing Alan.
No, that wouldn't have worked.
John Goodman playing Freddie.
No.
Nah. So, I think Jessica Lange was offered Madison at one point.
Yeah, that would just be weird. That's too much.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Daryl Hannah had the girl next door,
Yes.
Vibe to her, whereas that wouldn't have played out with Jessica Lange. So
I don't think so. And it's so funny because Daryl Hannah ends up like in movies that she does that one with Steve Guttenberg later on, the haunted one that we love.
High Spirits.
High Spirits. I love that movie too, and I'm gonna be so disappointed. Roxanne. So she ends up kissing Steve Martin with that prosthetic nose on. So,
I love that movie. That's probably one of my favorites.
It's on our list
we definitely
too.
have to do.
So Daryl Hannah is I think underappreciated in this modern time.
Well, she was an icon.
Oh yes, at that time, yes. And after this, definitely.
Well, and this was like her real breakout movie. Mm-hmm. This is the one that like catapulted her into like the limelight.
Oh, definitely.
Especially because she did the nude scenes.
Yeah.
Quasi-nude scenes.
She was uncomfortable with it, and like she made them use Band-Aids and makeup on her boobs because she was so uncomfortable with the nudity of it. But she was still willing to do it.
It was part of the thing.
Being a mermaid.
And of course, it was also the going to be the draw to the movie as Daryl Hannah gets naked, I guess. It is early 80s. They weren't completely enlightened.
No.
And we had John Candy, who was like the supporting cast, who was always like I'm never going to find love. He had a great dialogue where he's talking to Alan, who, after they find out that she's a mermaid, he actually rejects her.
Yes. And I don't think he rejects her because she's a mermaid. I think he rejects her because she didn't tell him her secret soon enough, and I think the shock of it, because
they were going outside for her to tell him.
Yeah,
that was the whole point.
I know, but I don't.
When Eugene Levy outs her, she didn't get the chance. That is another. That's another thing about being outed is you don't get the chance to do it your way.
True.
And again, I come right back to that allegory, but Madison wanted to tell him, and when they're in the tank because they're testing Tom Hanks or Alan to see if he's human as well, because somehow Eugene Levy realizes that if you get a mermaid wet, they have fins.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they figured that out.
Yeah, you see her do it in the bathtub at Alan's house or apartment. And now but how does Walter know?
Exactly.
But he still knows. I guess his studies led him there. Maybe there's a cutscene. Maybe it's in the book.
Maybe.
Who knows? Probably people that read the book or had the cutscenes.
Yeah, true.
Those people. Or the screenwriters. What is his name? Babalu?
Babalu Mandel.
I think that with John Candy's character, who helps his brother no matter what, does not question that there is a mermaid and that his brother is in love with her. He gives him this great speech. It's very short. I remember it being longer.
True.
But it's very short, but it's very succinct, in which he says, I'm paraphrasing, cry me a fucking river, because water theme. You have a chance at love. I will never find love. Mm-hmm. He knows that about himself. He's accepted that, but he's pissed that his brother doesn't realize that he has this real chance at love because she's a mermaid. Get over it.
It shouldn't matter that she's a mermaid.
Yeah, the logistics of it, you got to figure that out. But, buy a fucking submarine. Do what you got to do. Get a diving bell. Do something.
Okay, so the book is called Splash, but it was not done first. It was done after the movie, basically to fill in the parts.
That's a very common thing to happen in the 80s late 90s, is to have the book come out after the movie, and it either just
Use
exactly
pictures
follows it or it expands on it. It's a lot of times just an easy money grab.
I believe there were Pirates of the Caribbean ones like that too, if I'm correct. It was almost like a comic book series, but I vaguely remember that. But yeah, and that was in the the early 2000s. But even so, it was along that same line of after the fact.
Right.
But at least Splash wasn't based on a ride, though. Even so, this is again rumor. Oh God, what was his name? Michael Eisner. Was he he was the CEO of Disney at the time. So they, what I was reading, and again, I don't know how true this is. I didn't go down that rabbit hole because honestly, I didn't have that many fucks to give about this rabbit hole. But I will expound, and if somebody wants to do the research, you're all welcome to it. But apparently, Splash Mountain is, even though Song of the South themed, it was, Eisner called it Splash Mountain as an homage to Splash. But the fountain that she buys for Alan is in Disney Studios, the park.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
That giant fountain in this little apartment
In a bedroom.
that he has to...
You'd have to pee all night long.
It's running, too, so she had plumbing done in his house. It's crazy.
So Daryl Hannah is a vegetarian. Okay, so the scenes with the lobsters...
Is she vegan or vegetarian?
Vegetarian. Vegan. She's vegan.
Vegan, not vegetarian.
So they would take the shells and stuff them full of something tofu, but she would cry between takes for the lobsters that she had the shells for the lobsters that died.
Wait, they use the actual shells?
Mm-hmm.
They could have just made those out of fondant.
They did not. They did not do that.
Or something that's a hard shell.
Yeah, she cried.
Candy, whatever, but you didn't have to use actual lobster shells. She was biting into those. Those are not simple and easy to bite into.
No. So
even after they're boiled.
That was sad that she would cry. Yeah. It, again, movies end up doing some fucked up shit to get those scenes. It's very, very, very upsetting.
So they stuffed the lobster shells with something, but they used the lobster shell itself, which makes it
They still cooked the lobsters.
Meant it's non-vegan.
And they still...
It's weird.
And they still killed the lobster for the shells.
I think we can justify a lot of things in our head when we're doing something that we kind of have to do because we signed a contract.
Yeah, but still, that's tough. But so story time, because I thought this was the funniest thing I read when I was doing my research. So John Candy is known for being very, very responsible in his acting. When he has a job, he was always known as being prompt, on time, not fucking around. I mean, he'd fuck around because everybody fucks around, but he was not known for being late. So one of the stories goes that he showed up late one day and was just apologetic, like crazy to Ron Howard, going, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to be late. And then he catches him after, and like to the side, and he goes, I am drunk and I have not slept all night. And Ron's like, okay. And he goes, listen, I was at a bar last night and I met Jack Nicholson. And I kept telling him, I have to be back because I have to get some sleep. I'm shooting tomorrow. And he's like, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. And he goes, you don't tell Jack Nicholson it's not going to be okay. He goes, so here I am. He's drunk. And they're like, and Ron's like, well, we'll just get through this day. We'll see what we can get done. And, if it's trash, it's trash, whatever. I am 100% paraphrasing a lot of this. Okay, so they filmed the squash scene when they're playing squash. That take of him getting hit with the ball, that was it. First time.
Oh, wow.
First time, got it on the nose with the ball. He hits the ball comes back, smacks him in the face, done. Drunk off his ass.
Wow. That's some dedication.
That is a professional right there, y'all. A professional. And rest in peace, John Candy. You amazing man. I don't want to ever learn anything bad about him. It'll break my heart.
I don't either. I really don't.
Break my heart.
And
we have a couple more John Candy movies on our list, so yeah, don't.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Don't enlighten us on that, till please.
Till we're done, at least.
Yes.
So she's hiding her identity.
Yes.
She's being very secretive, but she's not the only one that's doing that. Really, I mean, he's hiding the fact that he knows. He remembers her.
Does he remember her?
Yes, he just didn't want to say anything. He doesn't know it's her. He remembers the girl, but he doesn't want to be seen as crazy. Because when she admits that it's him, he says, "It's you."
So now the little girl's wearing the necklace that she has later on. So that in itself, and that was done just so that you know that that's the same little person.
Right.
But I mean, you would think he might recognize the necklace, and because he does make a big production out of the fact that she sold it to get or she traded it.
Well, the production was because no one's ever done anything like that for him, thought about something he wants. It's usually him providing what they want, is the insinuation from the breakup before, is he can't give them love.
But he gives them everything else.
And in this case, she loves him, and she gave the thing she had. Mm-hmm. True. Again, this is her story.
Yeah.
If we think it's his story, you're going to be missing a large part of this.
Oh, true. And it's funny because I'd forgotten that she traded the necklace. So when he was like, where did you get the money for this? And I'm thinking, she borrowed your Vista again.
Vista card.
Your Vista card again.
Because we couldn't get the license for Visa.
So, that's what I was thinking, because I totally forgot about the damn necklace, even though I watched it and I saw the necklace on the little girl and I forgot that she traded that in. It's odd that he does recognize, at least remembers her, and yet he is so butthurt when they're standing. I mean, I would be butthurt too if I had to be forced to stand naked in a pool of water while a bunch of scientists poke and prod at me and stare at me all day. I would be a bit irate as well.
Well, this is the part of the movie that is, this is supposed to be a comedy. It's supposed to be romantic.
But it's kind of sad and uncomfortable.
But it's kind of horrifying for her. Well, she's stuck in this tank. You can see she's already degrading.
Yeah, her shedding.
You can see like slime on her tail, stuff like that. It is definitely showing like signs of her not being thriving in captivity.
Yeah.
And, when she first gets dumped in the tank with him and he's been standing there for hours, she is expecting to have, like
a happy reunion.
Well, that thing of, this is horrible, but at least we're together.
Yeah.
And he pushes her away, splashes at her to splash her away, which is why I think it's called Splash. But he splashes her away, and she is hurt to the core.
Yes.
And Daryl Hannah does a great job of looking hurt to the core.
Oh, God. She can emote with her face.
Like, and it makes you angry for her.
Oh, yeah. Because you're like, she didn't do this. And I get why he's upset. I understand that it's frustrating that you are putting trust in somebody and they're not being 100%. I get that. And I don't necessarily think that he feels betrayed. I think he's overwhelmed by the situation and he doesn't know how to feel.
Right.
And maybe he is understanding that he does feel love for her, and that might be like, maybe he does have that bit of betrayal feeling because, okay, well, now I finally have my heart open to somebody and they're not even fucking human, so like there's probably a lot. And maybe,
he says that later on after he gets out.
Yes, so, these are all the thoughts that he's probably having. And again, I'm not justifying his behavior. I'm just trying to explain like how he may feel, because we don't have that until after the fact.
And I'm not trying to make you have to explain that. And I'm not trying to say that
I know that
he's wrong in how he feels.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is he does that to her, and that's how she feels.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Again, she is the main character in this movie. She is the person by which the story goes around.
Yeah.
She is the protagonist. If you think that he is, you're going to start identifying with the wrong parts, I think. This is my opinion. You're going to identify with the wrong parts that make this movie seem odd. If you identify with her and through her vision see this movie, you will start to understand how she could feel betrayed and why she's happy when he comes back not long after.
Oh, no. And I would feel betrayed too, because she has risked so much to find him. She's risked her possible going home.
Right.
She's risked her safety. She's risked her people being known. You know, there's more mermaids out there, and now they're going to be hunted down.
Yeah, we have to assume there's a community out there.
Well, there is, because at the end of the movie, we see that there's a huge little city under the waves, under the sea.
Yeah, we have to assume that she comes from that.
Yes. TM. Don't worry, don't own it. So...
Under the water.
Under the water.
Very large and briny.
Stuff.
Very briny water under that. And then we're okay with the trademark.
Yeah, because I was going to say something about how she finds a whole new world, but that's a different movie.
Oh my God. Just going to keep it within that realm.
Hey, it's Disney, bitches.
Yeah, I know.
So if they're going to sue me, I'm going big. Get in line.
You don't have to go big at all for Disney to sue you.
That's true.
It can be the tiniest infraction.
That's true. Well, you know, I love you, Disney. I really do.
That's why I don't have a Mickey Mouse bobblehead on anything that I own, because I don't want them to sue me for it.
No, I don't, but I do have a Kermit up there, and they do own Disney now. And I do have somewhere.
Well, you can own it. You just can't sell it, I guess. I don't know.
I have a Mickey and a Minnie that are dressed like pirates, because I got it from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
I wouldn't have never known that.
I love them because I was so into Pirates of the Caribbean at the time. I was obsessed.
I know.
I was an adult. I was in my 30s, y'all, and I was obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean. What's wrong with me? But I've always liked pirates.
Being obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates. I like pirates. And I like Johnny Depp. So there's that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't identify with any character in this movie per se. Like I'm not an Alan person. Like I see where he's coming from and what he's going through. I don't necessarily relate to him in a way that like I feel bad or anything like that, because I don't feel bad for him. I feel like he needs to come to some conclusions and understand himself better. I understand, and I don't relate with Freddie either, because his highlight of the whole entire movie was that he got a letter printed in the Penthouse Forum about turning a lesbian straight. So how can I love him there? You know?
Right. So
what was it called? Lesbian No More. I mean, what the fuck, man? You perv. And though, so you know the scene when they're going into the lab to save Madison,
right,
and the Sprechen Sie Deutsch. Germany cut that scene. They cut the whole fake Dutch scientists theme. Or Danish scientists? Dutch
No, they were Dutch.
Yeah, I can't remember what they were calling them. But yeah.
Because he was speaking German.
Okay.
Or Deutschland.
Deutschland, yeah. Yeah, well, the Sprechen Sie Deutsch, and yeah, they cut that. Germany cut that from what I was reading, which I think is funny. Yeah, I never really looked at it like I was watching the movie through anybody's perspective. Like, I never...
Maybe that's just me. And again, that's my opinion, this is her movie. And I am heavily, obviously, because there is that, to me, a trans allegory in this movie, I am relating to Madison very heavily, and I did as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I wasn't sure where I was actually going with it back then, I just knew who to identify with.
I guess For me, it was definitely I was a little girl and she was a pretty mermaid, and I wanted to grow up and be a pretty mermaid, and I wanted to find my Alan Bauer. As I got older, I wanted to find the Alan Bauer in my life. I wanted to find somebody who understood and didn't care, because he eventually doesn't care that she's a mermaid. And again, I understand that there's that initial shock and that feeling of betrayal. That's, whether
God, you do, don't you? Because it's part of that trans allegory thing. Like when I came out.
Oh, I wasn't thinking about that. I really, really wasn't even thinking about that. Honestly, I thought you were going to mention my ex, because there's a lot of the same about.
Well, there is a lot in that too, but that's because
the betrayal,
the lying, and stuff.
Yeah, the lying, and it's not that. And lies by omission are still lies. So I guess that's the situation in maybe the way, because even though Alan does mention later on, I fall in love and she's a fish, it doesn't really delve too deeply into why he's rejecting her so much in that moment. And because that scene comes and goes so fast and he does basically get the fuck over himself, I feel like maybe we are deeply going into a scene that it was probably as shallow as a teaspoon.
I don't think it was meant to be shallow.
I don't think it was meant to be super deep either.
Because she was very much affected by it.
She was. I'm not saying she wasn't, but I also think that...
I think that's kind of left for us to read that into anyway.
I think so. And so, yeah, and they go back and, he goes and cries on Freddie's shoulder, and Freddie goes, snap out of it, like Cher. And then they go back, they go on a mission to save her with the help of, surprisingly, Dr. Kornbluth. Yeah,
Walter changes his tune. He realizes that she's sad.
Well, the other doctor makes comments about basically vivisection.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely planning on killing her.
And that fucks him up a bit. That fucks Dr.
But before that, he realizes how sad she is.
Yeah.
And that's when he starts building empathy for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sees that she's getting sick.
Yeah, and I think, for him at first it was a creature. And then that creature has now a face. And I think that just kind of, I'm not saying that everybody who finally puts a face to somebody is able to relate to them, because obviously somebody ran the concentration camps and people had faces and they still destroyed them. But I think he had the personality, the empathy in him already, that this creature, if she was the sea hag that mythology has described in some places mermaids to be, I don't think he would have cared. But Madison looking and being who she is, I think that affects him personally and how he sees her as a person and not a creature. And that's where I think the empathy begins.
He got to know her in some way that was deeper than just seeing her from a distance.
Oh, yeah. And like you said, Daryl Hannah is a great face actor. So having her ability to portray sadness and loneliness.
Well, I think for Walter's part, this is more about him just being frantic to find something. And then when he finds it, he frantically goes after it. Everything he does is very frantic.
Oh, God, yeah. Breaks his body to do it because he keeps going after the wrong woman every time.
But only after all of that, when he is at the dentist, when he is having the time... Well, not just at the dentist, but at the tank and stuff. But when he has the time to not be frantic, when he has the time to think about what he's doing,
yes,
I think he realizes this wasn't ever what he really wanted.
No.
He wanted to prove they existed. He didn't want to prove anything else about it. He didn't want to dissect them.
No, he didn't want to hurt them. It wasn't really his game plan.
So he's not an evil person. Yeah, he's an ignorant person. He was too caught up in his own thing to see the full picture.
Definitely.
And I think that's when he changed into a better person. Not a perfect person. Still flawed. He's still pretty much kind of a coward. and he is still belligerent and stuff, but he is on their side now.
Yes. And he agrees to help get them into the lab.
And John and Freddie, John Candy, he goes and he's right there.
He's right there with his brother.
He doesn't care what's going to happen. He's there to help.
I think that's why I'm sad at the end that he doesn't get to say goodbye to his brother. That's the one thing that always upset me about this, is how he doesn't get to say goodbye to Freddie.
Right. So Freddie is still he has to stay there because they're going to use his clothes to wrap Madison up.
To pretend
it's him that's been attacked by laser eyes from the mermaid. Which, why not? If you have a mermaid at this point, laser eyes is the least of your concerns.
Exactly.
And so John Candy stays in the tank area so that they don't see him.
Yes.
He's hiding in there. And when they do finally come in there, he's fishing. Mm-hmm. He made a fishing pole out of a broom handle, and it looks like magnetic tape from a data drive.
Yeah. And he's just sitting there at the edge with the tank full of other fish, and he's just pretending to fish away. And he's like, "Hey guys, come on in, the water's fine,"
And so we don't know what happens to him.
No.
We know they said arrest him, but you don't know what happens.
No.
You never see Freddie again.
No.
At that point, no more Freddie.
No.
He does not get to say goodbye to his brother Alan.
No.
Because at the end, we get that whole thing of, if you're looking at it from Madison's point of view, this is her having no choice but to leave.
Yep.
And he balks.
Yes, at first, because he's like, "I can come back. I'll go with you, but I can come back for Christmas. This is perfect." And then she's like, "Well, you can't ever come back." And I don't know why.
I think that in the canon of this, and this is my head canon again.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. I was like, here's what I think. Is that when he's with her, he's able to breathe underwater.
Yes.
That's the supposition that we have. That he can breathe underwater. And that he's protected from the cold of the water. I think he's becoming more of a mermaid as he's with her, and eventually he will fully transform.
Oh, yeah. I think that's probably right.
So I think that is what that's getting at.
Okay.
Because that makes sense to me, and I could be wrong.
Yeah. There is a sequel to this movie, No,
I did not know that.
So the only person from the original movie is Dodie Goodman, who played Mrs. Stimler. So Mrs. Stimler wasn't she like struck by lightning?
Yes,
and
that's
so
how she got kind of delusional.
Oh my God, that woman is off the wall, crazy batshit, and I fucking love her. But she's the only person in this movie. I have never seen it. Don't think I ever care to. But it is Alan and Madison, and they come back to save the business.
Oh no, that's horrifying.
So,
first of all, it breaks the lore.
It does break the lore.
And second of all, it's a trite sequel storyline to save the.
Yeah.
That is so trite.
And it's not even like Splash #2. It's Splash TOO.
Well, I guess they have kids.
I don't know. I didn't want to delve into that one because honestly, I was just like, no.
This is one of those sequels I'm never going to see.
No.
I was actually better off not knowing it existed.
Well, I figured I had to share the pain.
I know, and I'm upset about that.
I know. I was upset when I read it the first time. So yeah, knowing that, it kind of, that it really fucks with the lore. I hate the ending scenes when they're underwater. So part of me hates it because the Hudson River does not bulk up against or back up against anything tropical where there would be coral reefs. I'm sorry, y'all, but that part of the North Atlantic area does not carry such tropical beauty. So
yeah, it'd be a little weird. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I know they sped away, but they were already fighting those frogmen in a sort of tropically looking area before, they sped off.
I think it was just, I don't know, maybe they were shooting in California?
No, well, they did shoot I think they said they shot in some parts of California. I don't remember now. I remember being New York, Cape Cod, and parts of the Bahamas, but maybe
maybe that, yeah, just the Bahamas shots. Yeah.
Now, it was inspired by, oh crap, I can't remember the name, which writer it was, but one of the writers, he was on a boat trip in California and was thinking about what if mermaids were real and they fell in love with somebody. So that's how the basic story kind of came along.
Yeah, it's not an overly complicated story, and it's already been a story before that.
Hans Christian Andersen.
Right.
But yeah, it's so with the underwater scenes, I just, other than the part with the Hudson really annoying me, because again, I grew up in the area. Ew, the Hudson's chunky. And, I mean, it might be different now, but back in the 80s, the bish was chunky. And so, but knowing that, like, but seeing those scenes with them swimming underwater, it does bother me that he still has his shoes on.
That's annoying.
Because no.
Just take them off.
Take them off, man.
You took your jacket off. Take off the damn shoes.
Take off the fucking shoes. But it was just the beauty of it, of the scenes of them swimming off together. And there was just, that's the romantic scenes to me. That to me, of all of it, that's the beauty. And then them scanning over and seeing the tiny lit up, well, tiny because it's in the distance, city. Oh, I guess the mermaid city, and it's lit up, and it's just like, that's the fantasy. That's where, I want to go and be a mermaid, and I want to live in a glowing city under the sea. I mean, this is before I even knew the Hans Christian Andersen story or the Disney's Little Mermaid or any of that. I knew Splash. I mean, I knew of mermaids because little kids know things like that, from books and TV shows.
Right.
But that was the first mermaidy thing I'd ever really invested in as a kid. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go be Madison and live under the sea. So yeah, that's why that part is my favorite.
But this is the part where it is not about him.
Oh no, it's her world.
It's her world.
And he's getting to see it through her eyes, and I love that.
He had to have been, at some point in this journey to the city, he had to think, how do I communicate? How do I do these things? The things that Madison had to do at the first. Mm-hmm.
True.
He now has to do for their world. And that's why I think that eventually he will grow the tail.
Because he'd have to learn how to talk like them. And definitely, we all know that when she says her name and it breaks the glass, there's a whole high-pitched thing he's got to learn.
Basically dolphins speak.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, he does have to learn all of that stuff. Just the beauty of her, them swimming off hand in hand and her pointing things out to him. And I just loved it. I love that so much.
Yeah, and that's a good
so
part
beautiful.
Of it. Because you know that they're going to have a good life.
And there's definitely a happily ever after there.
As long as you don't go to Splash 2.
Don't. I didn't know. I didn't know about it as a kid, so I never had to worry about it. I probably would have wanted to see it as a kid, but as an adult, no. Because it's not even Daryl Hannah and Tom Hanks.
So how do you feel now about this movie?
So, other than the couple of scenes that I mentioned before about the little girl, Shayla, and the Hudson River, it still holds up. I still feel the same. I still love that. I mean, I'm not a little girl thinking about wanting to be a mermaid anymore, but I still love the love story. And I'm seeing it from a different point of view. And as a kid, again, I didn't 100% understand that women tend to change for men. Not all, but a lot of times we do. And looking back, Madison was a role model, and I don't think she understood, I don't think I even understood that I was so influenced by this movie, in the sense that I myself came back to who I was. I know I changed, but I came back to who I was, and I got to be who I was. And I feel like that having that influence, especially for young girls, this isn't about a movie about being somebody else to get the boy. And so I think the movie holds up. And I think that regardless of it being 1984, I don't feel it's that dated. Like you don't, yeah, there's no cell phones, but
again, you kind of place those cameras as cell phones in your head as you're watching it.
I mean, true. And even like the fashion, because when we were watching it and our son is here and he mentioned the collars being wider, there's still, there is a couple suits that not Tom Hanks, that John Candy wears that I'm like, they could have done better pants on him. But not in the sense like, it's not overwhelmingly holy 80s.
It is not
Batman.
that neon 80s stuff that people tend to put onto the 80s.
And because a lot of styles come back around.
Right.
It's actually like very comfortable. Like it doesn't have that uncomfortable anachronistic like we did where it's just the fashion is the crazy, like
right.
It's not, it wasn't like that. And so
it wasn't meant to draw your eye away from the characters.
No, and again, the dresses that she wears, while they are definitely 80s Anne Klein dresses, I could see these girls wearing them now. Like, I could see that coming
absolutely.
back. And the colors were beautiful on her. And they're not like the creepy, weird early 90s colors that we used to wear. Because that mustard color we used to wear in the 90s, why did we think that was a good color? Mustard is not a pretty color on anybody. I don't care who you are. So this movie stands up. I think that everybody should watch this movie and give it at least a try. And I think that it should be shown to little girls.
I think this movie, for me, it has weathered the test of time.
Yes.
I am with you. It is kind of timeless, even though the cars are obviously 80s and there are no phones, except they have cords on them. That's going to really freak people out. I think that it really holds up because those things aren't important.
No.
They're just not important to the movie. They're not important to what's going on. The human interactions, those are kind of timeless. You got two brothers. They're obviously opposites, but they love each other. That's timeless. You have the boy meets girl. The girl goes after boy. This is a fairly timeless, if not gender bending, in its aspect of who gets who.
Yes.
In the relationship. But it's still a love story at its core. It's just that it centers on someone else, to me.
Yes.
For me, though, that allegory that I only made up while we're talking about this is because there's so many pieces of it that make sense. I don't think I'm reading too much into this to say that it is a lot about that. And that's still in cis women make transformations all the time for other people. They change for other people.
Yes.
But for me, this is about the same kind of aspect that you see in this film, where it is her not changing. For me, this is about her coming out to him, coming out to society, coming out to the things that are important. And for me, it does. Like now, I am far more energized towards this movie than I was even before. Before it was a love story. Now it's a love story. Also, it's a trans-inclusive, to me, love story. Because the trans woman gets the guy.
Yeah.
And he didn't care. He loved her just because of her. And he made the choice to be part of her life.
Yes.
And make their own life together, regardless of his own society. And that's what that means to me now. Again, when I was writing my notes, when we were watching the movie, did not form this at all. Although I noticed the trans on the bumper. But us talking about it, I've really come to this very firm, concrete resolution that that's what this movie is about. For me.
I do think that the one thing that the movie did make me very nostalgic for is pre-serious Tom Hanks acting. I miss Tom Hanks being
the
manic.
Loud, brash.
I miss manic
funny,
Tom Hanks.
Manic Tom Hanks, yes.
I mean, when did he stop doing that? Because he did it in Turner and Hooch.
Philadelphia.
Oh my God, I forgot about Philadelphia because I went right to Forrest Gump.
That's when.
That's when he stopped. That's when people were like, no, we got a serious actor here. And he stopped being manic. I miss comedy. Tom Hanks.
I do.
I love that he's a great actor.
He's got a lot of good movies. I think he's got a lot of heartfelt movies. The Terminal, I felt, was heartfelt. It was a lighter, heartfelt movie. Although now it would have some serious themes to it, looking at it now.
I know that I myself miss his comedies. I appreciate that he is a serious actor in doing movies like Philadelphia, Break Your Heart, and even Forrest Gump. While it's light in moments, it's still a dramatic movie. And Castaway. I love Castaway. But I miss the comedy. I miss the Turner and Hooch. I miss the stupid, over-the-top, chaotic acting that Tom Hanks is known for, his manicness. So yeah, that's what the movie made me nostalgic for is the comedy of Tom Hanks.
And it made me nostalgic for that as well, but also it made me nostalgic for Daryl Hannah's works. Because she kind of plays that sweet girl in a lot of things. Not everything.
Not everything.
But in a lot of things, like especially like Roxanne.
Yeah, Roxanne.
Which she's brilliant in, and she gets to be a brilliant scientist, you know. So, but she still has that innate sweetness to her, that what I call the Andie MacDowell kind of sweetness.
Yeah.
That may be inherent to her. I don't know anything really about Daryl Hannah.
I really don't either, other than learning that she was really obsessed with mermaids too. So yeah, I think that's I like her and Roxanne. I honestly can't think of many Daryl Hannah movies that I can't. My brain is blocked on a lot of her movies because I didn't go delve into that. Literally, I can't picture I can picture her in Roxanne, and I can't picture her in anything else.
I mean, she's done Blade Runner. I mean, I don't know what you're wanting.
No, I was trying to think if there was any. Like, I was just gonna. That's how I feel about the movie. And again,
I mean, she was in Steel Magnolias. She died in that.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. She died in Steel Magnolias. Oh my God. See, that's a movie I want to do, but I'm going to cry so hard because I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, but we need to do it.
Because that movie has got so many strong women. Okay.
And it's got some great storyline and good acting.
So, do you think it passes the Castellini?
I don't know. Let's find out. There have to be at least 2 named women characters with at least 5 lines of dialogue each.
Well, we have Madison. And we have Mrs. Stimler.
You're really going to have to reach for that one.
Stimler! Mrs. Stimler!
No, I said you're going to have to reach for that scenario to actually be 5 lines of dialogue.
Oh, well, I mean, she mentions that his dad called, left a message, but his dad been dead for 5 years.
She maybe had exactly 5 lines of dialogue, if that.
But
we'll give that one to the movie.
Yes.
Those characters must have a conversation, not necessarily with the other woman, either not about their partner or with their partner, future or current, and not about their relationship.
Okay, so...
Much harder.
It is harder, but Madison doesn't... They talk about their relationship at one point when he proposes to her, but really it's just about her learning, like, the world. Like, he's, like, explaining things to her.
Well, now I'll give you for her, she had a lot of conversations all throughout the city and stuff. And yeah, I guess we're going to say that
Miss Stimler,
Miss Stimler had a conversation with the boys. And presumably did not have a relationship with either one.
No, I mean, she talks to them in the beginning, and then later on, when he shows up and she's just wearing her bra on the outside of her clothes.
Yep.
So she's got 2 big scenes, and she does have a conversation with him about, the people who called and leaving messages and blah 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 blah.
This is going to be just the strangest passing of the Castellini test. But all right, so at least one of the women has to be integral to the plot, meaning that if she were written out of the film, it could not reach the same ending.
I mean, if Mrs. Stimler was not there, no. No, if Madison is the movie.
If she wasn't there, Splash 2 couldn't have happened.
Exactly.
So that also passes the Castellini test.
Oh, but maybe that was probably for the not good right there. No, I think, if Madison wasn't there, obviously there'd be no movie.
Right, because it's named Splash, and he's not the splasher.
And she's Splash, not him.
Who's Splash?
She's Splash. Yes.
Ron's house.
So yes, it does, with your eyes closed and squinting slightly, looking to the left.
It does. I mean, by the laws that Brie Castellini has passed down unto us from on high, in the mountains, where she struck a bush into icy fervor, and she handed us these large tablets of romantic novels, and gave us the rules by which we will do...
By which we must die.
By which we must judge movies by the Castellini test.
Yes, so needless.
And with a little bit of logic, we can say, yes, it does pass the Castellini test.
Again, squinting sideways.
Surprisingly, but truthfully passes.
Yes.
It is a feminist film in which, though objectified in many aspects... Mm-hmm. They're also treated as equals among them.
Yes.
The leads are all treating each other as equals.
And not to go on another tangent, but I feel like objectification is not a problem if the woman if the person being objectified owns it. Madison is not...
If it's their power, yes.
She's not embarrassed. She is not being made to feel embarrassed. Now, do I feel that those people should have been getting all up in her shit at Ellis Island? Oh, no.
Or being experimented on?
No, exactly. But does she own her nudity? Yes, because she's not embarrassed by it. She has no fear. Why should she be embarrassed by it? She only gets clothes because that's what that society expects. So, yes.
Yeah, I agree. So
own it, girl.
We were good on that one.
So yeah, if you would like to watch Splash, you can watch it on a lot of places. It is available on Disney Plus, Hulu, Sling TV, YouTube subscription, and to rent, you can watch it on YouTube again, Google Play, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Fandango, and it'll range from $3.59 to $3.99. Okay, guys, so here are your clues for next week's episode. I only have two. This one might give it away, though, okay? So this movie used both a camel's moan slowed down, as well as, in other parts, a Boeing 707 to use as sound effects. They weren't used together, but they were definitely used as sound effects within this movie. And my second clue is a little bit weirder. It's this movie was the first released on DVD and the last movie released on HD DVD.
Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. We want to thank you for taking this emotional journey with us through Splash, the 1984 romantic comedy. And remember that you have the power of empathy. You are the people that change things, and you're the ones that hold power. If you have privilege, you need to speak out. You need to use your privilege for those who do not have it. That is the purpose of it. That is the weapon you have. Speak and be heard. Be kind. Be human beings and understand that those around you don't live your same journey.
Stand up for the little guy and the people who are being oppressed and flip a few fucking tables.
So this has been Once More with Feelings with Beth and Michelle. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at OMWFPod. Visit our page at oncemorewithfeelings.podbean.com or send us an email at omwfpod@gmail.com. Take a moment to subscribe and rate us on iTunes.
Sprechen Sie Deutsche, baby.
I don't have a saying.
That was the only one I could think of.
No, that was my end where I say I don't have a saying. Redacted.
And by the time I came home, she was already gone.
Victoria left, huh?
Yeah. You know why she left me, Freddie? Because I didn't love her.
That bitch.